We're going to cut into weather right now to get back to that breaking news. Police giving an update on the homicide investigation at Rob Reiner's Brentwood home.
We want to listen in here now to law enforcement.
Chief Alan Hamilton. I'm the Chief of Detectives for the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm going to give a brief statement, and then we're going to address any questions that we can. I understand there are going to be questions regarding what occurred here tonight. I will not be able to provide information in a lot of areas that questions may be getting asked, but I'll do the best I can. So at approximately 3:40 this afternoon, Los Angeles police officers, along with the Los Angeles City Fire Department, responded to the 200 block of Chadbourne Avenue here in the city of Brentwood. Upon arrival, they determined that there were 2 deceased individuals inside of the residence. The Los Angeles Police Department is now conducting an investigation at this residence here on Chadbourne, and that investigation will continue over the coming days. We will not be releasing any information regarding who was found deceased in the residence, because that will be done by the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. So if there are any inquiries regarding the identity of the individuals that are deceased inside of the residence, that information will come from the LA County Coroner's Office. The current death investigation that is being conducted by the Los Angeles Police Department is going to be handled by the Homicide Special Section of Robbery Homicide Division of the Los Angeles Police Department. That investigation will move forward through the night, and tomorrow morning we will probably have additional information regarding what occurred here on Chadbourne and our investigation moving forward. We will not be releasing any further information regarding the investigation that is occurring here in Brentwood tonight. Our detectives will be responding along with our Forensic Science Division and our Technical Investigation Division investigators to conduct a full crime scene investigation and determine the appropriateness of the investigation moving forward. At this time, the Los Angeles Police Department is not seeking anyone as a suspect or as a person of interest or in any other manner, and we will not be doing that until we conduct our investigation and we move forward. That's all I have right now at this early preliminary stage of this investigation. If you have questions that I can answer, I will answer them. I would just ask you, please, if we do not have the ability to answer the questions, that you remain patient over the coming hours and over the coming days. Starting tomorrow morning, we will be responding and providing additional information as it becomes publicly available.
We're being told
Pete.
that a family who actually made the call that brought fire department and police officers here. Has that person known, and you release who it was?
So we understand that the person reporting was here at the location. We're not going to release any information regarding the identity of that individual at this time.
We're being told that a family. We're being told.
Hold on. One at a time, please.
We're being told that a family member is being interviewed in connection to these deaths. Can you confirm that? And is that family member being cooperative?
There are going to be many family members interviewed. I'm not going to confirm whether someone's being interviewed at this time or not. We're going to try and speak to every family member that we can to get to the facts of this investigation.
Chief, why are you not looking for a suspect?
I'm sorry.
Chief, why are you not exactly looking for a suspect? Are you confident you know who did this?
We have not identified a suspect at this time.
Well, then shouldn't you be looking for one so these neighbors aren't worried about their own lives and their own safety?
Yeah, so at this time, after we determine, so I need everyone to understand something. In order to comply with the legal process, before we do anything here, we have to get a search warrant because there are issues regarding standing at this residence. So as long as those legal requirements are met, we can continue the investigation. Now, when I tell you that we have not identified a suspect, it doesn't mean that we're not working the case. We will not identify a suspect until that person is identified as a suspect, and we're legally seeking them if there is a crime to be reported and if that person is a suspect in that crime. Did that hold on. Did that answer your question, sir?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Has anyone been detained yet for questioning? Are you questioning people now that could be possible suspects and or a person or persons of interest?
Specifically to your first question, no one has been detained. Specifically to your second question, no one is being interviewed as a suspect.
What were the injuries?
We're not going to comment on the injuries at this time. That information will be coming forward in the coming days as it's publicly releasable. If it is part of the investigation and it is not publicly releasable, we will not be releasing it. Hold on. One at a time. Whoa. Hold on, one at a time. This gentleman is next.
Are your detectives inside the home right now, or are they getting access to the home right now as we speak?
We're waiting for the legal process to move forward. We have to obtain a search warrant for the residence. As soon as that is complied with, we will be conducting a full crime scene investigation on the interior and the exterior of the residence and the surrounding neighborhood.
Just to follow up, Deputy Chief, is there somebody from the family not allowing detectives inside the home right now?
That's inconsequential. We have to comply with the legal process. It doesn't matter whether the family allows us in or not.
Detective, what other...
Hold on, ma'am.
Have the family members been notified? The victim's family members been notified?
Have the family been notified of what? That an incident occurred here?
That there were two victims?
I believe the family's aware.
In other words, why are you not releasing their names?
That's going to be the Los Angeles County coroner that releases the information.
Chief, is this a homicide?
Ma'am, go ahead. Your question first.
Yes. Is this a homicide?
At this time, it's a death investigation. Again, until we get inside and we make a determination, we can't call it anything. So we're going to conduct that Hold on. We're going to conduct that investigation at the appropriate time. We will identify what kind of incident it is, and if it's determined to be a crime, we will seek the suspect. We will bring them to justice, and we will take them into custody.
The mayor has confirmed it's the Reiners. The mayor has already confirmed it's the Reiners. Can you tell us any more?
I can't speak for the mayor, but I can speak for the Los Angeles Police Department. The Los Angeles County coroner will identify the decedents that are inside of the residence. And that will be, hold on, that will be the official notification and the official identification of the decedents inside of the residence.
Under what circumstances were the bodies discovered?
I'm not going to address that. Ma'am?
More details about needing the warrants and the family not letting you in. Can you just explain more?
Sure. There's a legal process whenever you're going to conduct an investigation at a crime scene in the state of California. There are certain requirements that you have to meet in order to conduct a thorough investigation. So you don't want to start a crime scene investigation and then have someone say, I need you guys to leave the residence right now. So we're going to, hold on, you asked the question, I'm going to answer. So we have to comply with the legal process. Once the warrant is signed and delivered, we will have access to the crime scene. We will conduct a full, thorough, impartial investigation. We will conduct additional investigations in the neighborhood around this area. And then with that information, we will go forward with the investigation, whether it is a death investigation or some other type of investigation. And I do want to be clear. Hold on. I want to be clear with one thing. Wherever we can be transparent and provide information to the public, we will release it as soon as we can.
Is there an understanding about when the decedents may have passed?
Alan, do we have any?
Is there an understanding about when the decedents may have passed?
No. That's going to be determined by the coroner. The coroner's not here.
It's been about 6 hours since the first report. Why is it taking so long to gain access to start this investigation?
I don't understand the specific point of the question.
It's been 6 hours since police were first called.
Yeah. So, okay. So just to be clear, there's an initial investigation when the patrol officers arrive. When they make a determination that detectives are needed, they will back out. We will conduct a sweep of the area to make sure that it's safe. And then we will comply with the legal process, and then we move forward. I'm not giving you the exact timeline on that, but I'm telling you that it's moving forward. Pete, you had another question.
Yes, a twofold question. One, how soon do we anticipate getting a warrant where you're able to search the entire property, interior and exterior? Second, do we have an ETA on the coroner's arrival? And once they arrive and make an initial determination, will they be able to give you identification that you can then release?
We'll be obtaining the warrant in real time very shortly if we have not obtained it already. In terms of the coroner's ETA, I cannot tell you when their estimated time of arrival is. We're already in communication with the coroner's office.
But as far as the overall investigation is concerned, beyond the initial determination, we have two decedents inside. We really haven't done anything in the way of any kind of forensics on the death scene itself, right?
That's correct. We've only done preliminary investigation at this point.
Are the bodies still there at the houses?
No, okay, so nothing has occurred inside the house. The house is in the exact same state it was when the officers arrived, just to be clear.
Are we safe in Brentwood tonight?
I'm sorry?
Safe in Brentwood tonight, Chief?
I can't hear you.
Are we safe in Brentwood, the neighbors of the community?
Oh, are we safe in Brentwood? I'm sorry. Yeah, so we have officers here at the scene. We have officers in the area. We're not looking for anyone in the Brentwood area at this point. We're not looking for anyone because we're still working on that part of the investigation. Hold on. Someone over here had a question.
What can you say about the fact that it's been reported it was the son of the family?
I don't understand.
Rob Reiner's son is.
But reported by who?
People?
Okay, I don't know. People magazine or people in the. I don't know anything about that. Yeah, that did not. Hold on. That did not come from the LAPD. Go ahead.
Deputy Chief, can you give us a sense of how many witnesses, if any, you guys have been able to talk to? Are there people you've been able to already touch base with who've been giving you useful information in terms of what unfolded inside that home?
So we've already been talking to the neighbors. We've already been canvassing the neighborhood and speaking to residents that live around this area. So that's part of our investigation. In terms of someone that may have information regarding what happened inside the residence, we're not going to release that information. That'll be part of the investigation.
Were there other family members living?
There's been no report from the neighbors regarding hearing anything or seeing anything that we can release to the public.
Were there other family members residing inside the house besides Carl and his wife?
I don't have that information.
Timeline of this murder.
We haven't established that yet. We will establish that soon, and then that'll be part of the investigation. The part that is publicly releasable, we will release. The cause of death will be released by the LA County coroner.
Are you looking into them being stabbed?
We're looking into getting the information from the LA County coroner when it's available. Somebody over here had a question. Yes, ma'am.
Where in the home they were found?
We didn't say.
Were any weapons found at the scene?
We didn't say anything about weapons either. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll release. So we're calling it a death investigation at this point. So just to be. Well, it's a homicide. Yeah.
So what's the robbery aspect to it?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be flippant. Let me be specific. There was recently a change within the department. Robbery Homicide Division handles all homicides now in the city of Los Angeles. So I apologize. I didn't know if you knew that or not. All homicides occurring in the city of Los Angeles are now handled by Robbery Homicide Division as of the end of October. So we handle them all. Okay? All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, guys.
You've just been listening live there to an LAPD press conference updating the situation on the two people found dead inside the mansion of Director Rob Reiner in Brentwood. We can confirm CBS News, in fact, has confirmed it is Rob Reiner and his wife Michele. Those are the two people who were found dead inside of that home. Still a lot to go through because that was quite the press conference.
Nobody in custody, no suspect identified. We want to get right to Lori Perez, who is live for us in Brentwood. She just listened into that press conference and has more for us. Lori, what are you learning here?
Yeah, well, I was just listening to that press conference and, as Gio said, wow, that was quite a press conference. A lot of lack of information and some contradictory information from what we've been hearing from other sources coming out there. LAPD, again, saying they responded here at about 3:40 this afternoon and did find two people inside. As you said, CBS News now confirming that it is Rob Reiner and his wife, but still a lot of questions. LAPD would not even go that far as to confirm the identities, and in fact they were only calling it a death investigation. The chief of detectives there said they are waiting for a warrant before they can get into the house, so still a lot being handled and as they wait here. But in the meantime, the mayor has also issued a statement. Mayor Bass issuing a lengthy statement this evening as police continue to swarm this neighborhood, saying this is a devastating loss for our city and our country. Rob Reiner's contributions reverberate throughout American culture and society, and he has improved countless lives through his creative work and advocacy, fighting for social and economic justice. An acclaimed actor, director, producer, writer, and engaged political activist, he always used his gifts in service of others. Mayor Bass's statement going on to say, personally, I am heartbroken by the tragic loss of Rob and his wife, Michele. I knew Rob and I have tremendous respect for him. Among his numerous contributions, Rob helped create First Five California, a landmark initiative funded by a tobacco tax to support early childhood development programs. He and Michele fought for early childhood development and marriage equality, working to overturn Proposition 8. They were true champions for LGBTQ+ rights. Mayor Bass continuing in that statement saying, I want to thank all of the first responders who were called to this tragic event. The investigation is ongoing. I am holding all who loved Rob and Michele in my heart. Again, that is a statement that was released not too long ago by Mayor Bass's office. Again, the press conference just wrapped up just minutes ago with the chief of detectives responding to a lot of questions, people asking about what happened at this home in the 200 block of Chadbourne Avenue here in Brentwood. The chief of detectives saying they would be able to provide some more information tomorrow morning, but for tonight, they're really keeping things close to the vest, and that might just be, part of the process of releasing information and not, shouldn't be read into as if it's any attempt to keep people in the dark about things. He did say that, again, they are waiting for a warrant before they are going to enter the house. But we have been able to watch as a swarm of detectives, as he confirmed, robbery homicide detectives have been in this neighborhood for hours now. He also said they are not seeking any suspects. There were a lot of questions trying to clarify what that meant. If they're not, seeking any suspects, does that mean that they have someone in custody? He said they have not detained anyone. They are not interviewing anyone currently. They do plan to speak to all of the members of the Reiner family, as is protocol normally, so nothing should be read into that, but they are planning on doing that. He would not identify who called 911, but it was someone who was here at the house, again, just before 4 o'clock this afternoon. At this time, again, he says it's a death investigation. They're trying to be as transparent as they can. He says, he's waiting for the coroner to make the identities. But, of course, we already know from the mayor's statement and also from CBS News confirming it is the acclaimed actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife Michele. We are live in Brentwood tonight. I'm Lori Perez. I'll send it back to you guys. I'm sure you have questions.
Lori, thank you so much. And on that note, we do want to get right to Lauren Posen now because she is live at the scene of that news conference. And Lauren, I think contentious might be one word to describe it. There was a lot of questions coming from reporters from that scene, but not really a lot of answers from LAPD's side.
Gio, questions coming from reporters and from residents, too, and that's one of the reasons why this news conference was so contentious. There are so many questions tonight, and LAPD not releasing a lot of information. Residents asking if they should be concerned for safety in the neighborhood, if police are looking for a suspect. And again, as you heard Deputy Chief Hamilton not giving much information, just saying this is a death investigation. They are waiting on a search warrant to go into the house. They have to interview the family, they said, he said. So a lot of questions tonight. They said this is going to go through the night and we're going to get more information in the morning. But residents were really concerned and they were hoping for some more clarification from the police. But as of right now, they didn't get any. Gio?
And yeah, no, Lauren, you're absolutely right. And I mean, it really speaks to the whole situation.
Lauren, we heard those residents out there right now because, of course, as so many people are trying to get that information and not being able to tell if somebody has been detained. From what you heard, no one's been detained, and it sounds like no one's even started to be questioned yet because there's still so much that they say they have to do on their end to get those warrants. Is that correct?
You kind of cut out there a little bit, but right. Police need to go through all their protocols for this investigation here. That's why they're asking for this. They need the search warrant first. But you have to remember, too, this is a neighborhood where, text chains have been going on since 3 o'clock this afternoon. People are talking. There's a lot of, rumors circulating. And so residents were really hoping for some clarity tonight, but they got none because, again, police are really just sticking to their investigation protocols. And it's going to be a slow process. Chief Hamilton said the coroner is not even here yet.
Slow process, but we'll certainly be keeping track of it. You included. Lauren, thank you so much. Live from Brentwood. Again, CBS News confirming that Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele, found dead in their home. Reiner first rose to fame in the 1970s on the sitcom All in the Family, for which he won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards. He then went on to direct some of Hollywood's most beloved films. That includes The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, This Is Spinal Tap, and A Few Good Men, among others. Reiner and his wife, Michele, singer Reiner, were both found dead in their Brentwood home tonight.
And of course,